Hello, friend. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the E&M Pod. Today, as you know, we're taking some time to really peruse the Enneagram and a few different ways that we can come to it without making it everything to everyone. And I think you understand that we're not coming at this episode to at all say Enneagram isn't awesome. We love the Enneagram here. Obviously, it's part of our title, but it's to help you to not box yourself in so that you can use the Enneagram well in your marriage. And I'm just going to give you 5 quick reminders. This is just a good midweek set point for all of us. I don't know what kind of week you've had. I've had the kind of week where I've had to really be careful to separate out my nervous system from my clients. I feel like in addition to a lot of extended family drama lately that we've also had all these clients with a lot of upheaval. And I have to think about this in terms of culture, right? Like we're just in a tough moment. There's a lot of polarization. There's been a lot of pain. There's been a lot of loss with the death of Charlie Kirk and others. And we're so sorry about that. But it causes us to have more stress in culture. And so all of us need to know, like, what are my tools right now to get through and regulate, right? And I have to be honest, you need a whole toolbox, tool belt, palette, if you're an artist, whatever you want to use for your metaphor. You need all of this because the truth is just one tool is often not enough. So even as I think back on my earliest cognitive behavioral therapy training at Wheaton, I remember my professor saying, sometimes you have one difficult experience or thought, and you'd need 5 positives to reset it. And different things work for different times. Like yesterday, I had a really dysregulating call with or texting with some family members, and I was like, I need a set point. And so we were going to go to the gym, and then my daughters, one of them said, do you want to go run outside? And I was like, yes, even though it was boiling hot in Florida, guys, and you pay for that with your body with soreness later, but we needed that little run outside, and it really reset us. But let's be honest, sometimes the Enneagram or the run or the one thing is not enough, or we can't do it that day because we're too sore or it's raining or whatever it is. And we need all kinds of tools. So my first tip for you is, first of all, give yourself grace because you know that life can be hard and throw a lot of curves at you. And you can't just think, this one thing should be enough for me. Just give yourself grace that sometimes it's going to take a few pieces to put you back together for the Humpty Dumpty experience here. Enneagram cannot be everything to us. So we need to just admit that right away. And I was actually just doing a Bible study with my nieces over FaceTime and my daughters, and we were reading Philippians. That's the book we decided to study together. And we were reminded of Philippians 1:6, which says, I am reminded of this very thing, that you can be confident God will keep working. He will keep the good work he's doing in you. And we had different versions going. One had a kid's Bible. One had the new Bible that we talked about with Aubrey Sampson recently. And it was just, we heard it in different language, and it was a beautiful reminder, like, it's okay. Sometimes you have a setback, but God is still at work in you, and he's going to continue to work in you. So that is our first reminder, is not to let the Enneagram be everything to us. And in that reminder, I want to say, allow yourself to find other good tools. So just remember that if you're ever working with a therapist or a coach or a pastor or a mentor, you don't have to only use the Enneagram. And in fact, I would be suspicious of anybody who's like, this is the only good tool out there, because I know, at least for me, with the work I've done with a therapist, with the work I do as a therapist turned coach, we use attachment theory. We use John Gottman's well-researched marriage work. We use emotionally focused therapy work. We use internal family systems work. There are so many other pieces and layers that we are constantly learning from and utilizing. And this goes for modern researchers to, hopefully you're also, even if you're a couples helper, looking at our foundational teachers and family systems and other places and spaces so that we can have a myriad of awesome tools. And I want you to know Enneagram is one of them, or I wouldn't have really spent all this time on it. And I still think it's a worthy space to spend time in. But I just have to give you that caveat and reminder that please do not put all your eggs in the Enneagram basket, because there are so many other important layers of the work you're doing. For instance, whenever we're doing, which we are right now, some of our family addiction work from our extended families on both sides, we're remembering, oh, there's usually a scapegoat child. There's usually a perfect child, which we all know is going to be Wes in every circumstance, and a lost child, which I'm more likely to be. And we have to remember our roles and like, how do we voice ourselves? But how do we voice ourselves in a way that isn't selfish? How do we not become codependent? And there's all these other places and spaces to do our work along with our Enneagram work. And so just pause and ask yourself, I think Enneagram is part of a bigger toolbox for me. What is another tool I might use right now too? And it might be something as simple as my breath work. I have been forgetting lately to take deep breaths, and I know how good and regulating that is for me. I think that probably is true for all of us right now, that we need that. So that's my first point out of these 5 quick points. Stay with me, guys. We are going to go through them quickly, and then you are going to be off on your merry way, but not until you get the good tips. So the second tip is don't box yourself in. It's so important for you to know that even when you do know your Enneagram type, that you allow yourself to look at it very clearly and closely so that you know what is my main piece to work on. But it's also important for you to understand one of the goals of our work as humans is to be able to learn about other gifts, right? Like maybe we'll hone in, like if we're playing tennis, that we know, and this is the case for me as a left-hander, I always have loved my backhand, and I am not out there playing tennis in this heat right now, hopefully a little bit soon, but it's really nice to go. That's my best shot when I'm in my training or good or something, whatever your sport is. A lot of us like pickleball these days, right? A lot of us are like, oh my gosh, it's not on the field at all. It's something else entirely. I'm a poet, and that's my thing in literature. Whatever it is for you, I want you to remember that you also still will need the forehand, or you'll also still need to know how to serve. And so maybe you're a 7, but don't forget to learn about your helper gift. Don't forget to learn about doing things well in your 1 space. And so allowing yourself to know, here's my main thing I need to work on and the piece I need to watch out for, because I don't know about you, for me with tennis and a backhand, it could be like a total miss. And in the same exact place, that's the totally best gift. So that's often how it is with our pieces too. Whereas my 7, I'm doing this great thing of encouraging others. And then at the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh, I came home and the kitchen was a mess. And I was like, oh, I'm scattered. I need to get this settled. And I have to actually use my voice to tell my son to help me, because he is also in his 7 space. And I'm like, we need to do this before your friends are here. So that is really important, that you don't box yourself in. But of course, don't forget your main type's work. Okay, now the third piece of information I want to encourage you is, so many people have been forgetting about the instincts lately. These 3 pieces, I call them the 3 desires. And I've noticed this because I've been going on other people's podcasts. Melody, I love the social media work she's doing for us. She shared on the podcast recently, or even in the on the podcast page of the website. And she shared, Christa's been on, 60 hours or so of other people's shows. And even I recorded one earlier today. And it was the same question of like, what are the desires and instincts? Like, I've never heard of them. And they're, as a reminder to you guys, the self-preserving, the sexual, the social, these are our deeper lying places of survival that each of us has, and they're huge in our relationships. So if you're wondering, why do I know my Enneagram type? Maybe I even know some family systems work, and I've done some work around attachment, but yet I'm still struggling. Look at the instincts piece, because if you are a self-preservation wired person and you love staying home and security, and your spouse is a social type, and that's our dynamic where one of us is wanting to nest and be in, and one of us is wanting to be out and about, then you're going to have some friction, but you're also really going to bless each other with your styles, because the goal is to have all 3. And maybe you meet in the middle ground, like the sexual instinct, because you're like, well, we both like that one. Maybe not as intensely, but whatever it is, it's important for you to recognize, okay, we need that self-preserving space. We need to take care of ourselves and our safety at the bottom of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs chart. We're going to need that sexual instinct. We don't want to forget that and just be roommates. We need to attract each other and allow each other to find completion within each other, but also some differentiation, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And then lastly, we need our social giving, right? We have so many different ways of doing that. Even some of us are more behind the scenes givers, and some of us like to give outwardly in the community. And hopefully you do a mix of both. But I really want to encourage you not to forget this part of the work. Talk about it weekly, balance it out weekly. It is so key. Okay, so we're going to talk about just a couple more. You're doing amazing. The next one is finding healthy differentiation. And that is so key in a relationship, especially a marriage, because earlier in the relationships, we think of our marriages as like a place of union, a place of healing, a place of bonding, and a place of collaboration. And we get each other, right? Like we just fit. It's just early relationship lore is like it's easy and it's doable because it just works. And yet we are reminded by one of the pioneers of marriage therapy, Ellen Bader, and her husband, that the work also involves differentiation as we get a little more mature in our marriage. And that, my friend, looks like you guys not agreeing on everything, but saying, you know what? You have your ways to do things. I have mine, and you don't have to meet every need, and I don't have to meet every need. We just are different, and that's okay. Let's celebrate each other's gifts, and let's allow our friendships and other people to help fill in some of the gaps that my spouse isn't good at, right? I mean, maybe your spouse is not good at cleaning, and you're not really good at making money, but putting that together, you're like, I'm actually pretty good at cleaning. And one of you is like, I'm really good at making money. And you realize we don't have to be at odds like, oh, I don't respect you because you're such a pig, or, you don't make any money. You're just using me. It's like, instead of that, you're more collaborating, like we each have a gift and we're sharing it. And of course, those are just quick examples, but I want you to really take heed that differentiating is part of every healthy couple that's mature. And if you're just going to say, oh, we're too different, we have to divorce, it's just not healthy. It's not mature. I'm not trying to judge you. I'm just giving you the facts. So make sure that you remember it doesn't mean isolating away. It means partnering on some things. It means sharing. It means puzzle piece fitting one gift into another and weaving your love together into a bigger, more supportive community too that can help you. And of course, setting boundaries with those other people. So my last reminder is for you to do some whole person integration. And that means that in your work on whatever systems you're using, however you're using Enneagram and other places and differentiating from your partner and all the work we said earlier about the instincts, that lastly, you're remembering that you are a soul, you are a heart, you are a mind, you are a body. And so incorporating this whole person reminder means that you allow yourself to say, okay, maybe I'm a thinking type in the Enneagram or I'm a feelings type, but I actually have access to all three of these places: body, mind, heart, and I'm a soul. I'm an eternal soul also. So, how am I relating to God? And that is, for me, the most important question is, how am I relating to God? And so I try to take time for that every day. Usually it's in the morning before all the different people are chiming in onto my day. I need that time to center myself with God so that I can get up and get motivated to help others. Because as you heard me say at the beginning of the episode, then the whole day goes with people dysregulating me. And then I have to come back and do it all over again. So I think you're the same way. This is especially the time and culture. Even one of my nieces, my 17-year-old niece, Bella, was like, yes, this is like, it's hard to be in that Philippians encouraging space in times like these. And I was just like, yeah, I get it. And as much as we need to be thoughtful and kind and caring, sometimes we just need to know when we're beat, right? Like yesterday, I had to set some boundaries and say, you know what? I don't have it in me. I need to go take that run because I cannot take another text of somebody's stress. And that happens to me probably 3 times a week for the last 10, 12 years at least, probably the last 15, because I think the first 5 years or so, I was in that honeymoon phase of my work and I was like, oh, I can do it all. And then you realize, nope, I need to be humble. I have to have balance and boundaries. So I hope you'll do that, my friend. I hope that in your job, in your life with kids, you'll go take that hot bath. You'll go take that long walk. You'll go take that date night. Anything you need to balance, you'll go get in that Bible study. You'll go take that drive and just center yourself and find some blessing in this balance. So thank you for listening to these special ways that you can, of course, use the Enneagram as a tool, but also keep in mind these other places that you can grow. So I want you to grab one thing from today's episode as you look back and think on, what can I bring with me to make this really count? And give yourself a moment to breathe through that, to think it, to sigh, to give yourself just a little pat on the back to say, good job, you did it. You listened to this episode. You completed something important today for yourself so that you could be a better giver, and take that with you now. And I also want you to remember Amy Wicks' awesome episode Monday. I'm so happy for her. She has changed her branding to Wholehearted Enneagram. So you can find her over there at her podcast and subscribe. And we're going to continue in the next couple weeks our AI conversation. See, you heard that glitch. I am not AI. And we are going to continue to grow here together as well. So hope you'll stay tuned in both spots. And I will look forward to talking to you soon, friend. Bye-bye.